Welcome back to A Fresh Story, the podcast where we have conversations about brave decisions to start over again. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Olivia, and we're so glad you're here today. Hello, sis. What's going on?
I am just very much thinking about what I'm going to eat for lunch next.
I know you look a little like pale and tired over there. Like you need some food.
I need some food.
Give the girl some food. So when Wyatt was at ninja class, when he first started going, and all the parents sit there and they look around, it's at a gymnastics place, right? I'd never seen gymnastics that up close. No. And I remember texting you and I was like, holy crap, these girls are amazing.
I feel like there was two classes, not classes, but groups of people in that ninja gym and that gymnastics gym, which was the people whose kids were there for ninja. It was a hobby. Right. Yeah. And then there were the people whose kids were there because they were dedicated.
And I actually struck up conversations with a lot of these moms because you're sitting there and some of these people are there from 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 9 o'clock at night with their kids. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't know the human body could move in that way. The dedication of these girls. So we actually had the chance to talk to Nia. She is a professional gymnast and she was training to go to the Olympics. Yep. And it was a beautiful story with her about kind of our narratives and how we are marketed, from an early age into going into one place in our life from 4, 5, 6 years old. Yeah. Yeah. That can change in an instant. And
I just couldn't believe. Yeah. I couldn't believe we were speaking with a 24-year-old, right? Is that how old she was?
Yeah, she was so wise and had so much poise and I just was very elegant. There was so elegant.
Such an age to her, a wisdom and
such wisdom.
And you said wise, but but she was quite literally wise beyond her years. She was just somebody really special, and I just kept saying to her over and over, I think I repeated a lot in the podcast, I can't wait to see what you do next, because taking all of that and impressive, made really important decisions for herself. I need to go to college so that I can go have that experience, and almost like an adult making decisions to have a teenage experience, because she just had so much life under her belt.
Yeah. And just so driven and so excited about her future. And it was just a beautiful conversation. So enjoy the conversation with Nia. And please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to A Fresh Story so that we can keep telling fresh start stories. Viral gymnastics sensation Nia Dennis aspires to inspire. Her debut on the 2021 Met Gala red carpet was a cultural moment. Flanked by the 30-person Brooklyn United marching band, while wearing a patriotic Stella McCartney for Adidas jumpsuit, Nia easily went from gymnastics routine to red carpet glam as she flipped and danced her way to the top of the famous steps. A member of the U.S. national team from 2012 to 2016, Nia was a 2018 NCAA gymnastics champion and leading contender on the UCLA women's gymnastics team. Born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, Nia grew up with Midwest values and a supportive family who encouraged her illustrious junior Olympic and elite gymnastics career. She sacrificed a traditional classroom experience and trained more than 30 hours per week to reach elite status and compete internationally, with the ultimate goal being the 2016 Olympics. But with a torn Achilles months before the games, Nia learned invaluable lessons about overcoming obstacles, perseverance, and creating new dreams. Nia, that's quite a bio you got there, my friend.
Seriously.
Oh, wow. Well, we are so excited to talk to you. I feel like you have had a lot of life experience. So thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to chat with you guys and talk about some new things.
Yeah, we're very excited. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's the end of the week. We're approaching the weekend. So, I'm excited to unwind, recover, restart for next week, but feeling great.
Yeah, I understand that feeling. It's like you get that little bit of respite between weeks. Right. Why don't you take us back to the beginning of your fresh start story?
Oh my goodness. Well, I believe my fresh start is kind of now. I'm starting a whole bunch of things. I've done gymnastics my entire life since I was 4 years old, and I'm 24 now. So I do feel like it is time for a fresh start. And I'm kind of being pulled in multiple directions, but I'm really starting my journey of dancing, modeling, and something really kind of weird, but I want to learn how to play the saxophone this year.
I love that.
I think that's amazing. I love that. Wait, I have so many questions. Why the saxophone? Let's start there.
I honestly have loved jazz music always since I was a young girl. And the saxophone just speaks to me, like certain sounds just touch your soul. And the saxophone has always done that to me. And I'm like, I want to be able to create that music. I want to be able to touch my own soul with that sound. So my younger sister, she can play the piano. And I'm like, okay, not me. I'm inspired by you, girl. Like, I want to learn how to play an instrument as well. So yeah, that's kind of where it started.
I love that. When I was in middle school, we had to play an instrument and I was like, trumpet, that's going to be my instrument. And it did not work out. So I think that saxophone, you want to do it. So I think it's going to be great. I'm very excited to see where this goes with the saxophone.
So take us back. You are 4 years old. You start gymnastics. Now, I've seen my younger son did like kind of like not really gymnastics, but like ninja class, right? So I was at the gymnastics center.
Space.
Right.
I would sit there as a parent and watch these girls practice, and I have never seen anybody more dedicated in my life than gymnasts. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, what is it like growing up in that world and the dedication?
It's really intense. You really do have to be all in. You have to make the decision that this is what you want to do. And these are the steps and the requirements that you need to follow in order to make it to these goals and, have that dedication and to achieving your goals. So it was really intense. It was really hard. You're so young. You're just a kid. You don't really know what's going on. I started gymnastics because I love the sport and I love just flipping. And, once I started getting really good, everybody's telling me like, you need to go to the Olympics. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but like, okay, like, so it's kind of like once you have that realization of what it is that you're doing and what it takes to get to where you're going, it's kind of like you have to make that decision. Is this what I want to do? And if it is, let's go all in for it.
Right. And you were young though. Like, what is it like to make that decision? Like, and I'm sure there was other people around you making similar decisions, right? So it's not like you're in a vacuum, but like, what is that like? A lot of people we talk to are in their 40s and 50s making big, brave life decisions. And you were like, what, 10?
10, literally. Seriously, literally. Honestly, I will say it wasn't 100% my decision. As a child, you are kind of easily persuaded by authorities, your parents, your coaches, people that you trust, people you're close to. So, everybody in my corner was like, this is amazing. This is great. This is something that you should do. And I don't know what it means. I'm like, I don't really know. Like, but okay. Like everybody says I'm doing good. I should try it. And so that's kind of how it started into the elite gymnastics route.
It's so funny because I try to come in pretty like, clean when we're coming in for interviews. So I didn't know how old you were. And you're so like the way that you present yourself and like also all the things you've done. Like I believe you're 24 because you look like a beautiful 24-year-old, but also you have like the poise of like a much older woman. And I wonder if making all of those decisions and doing really like adult things at a young age and having to have that dedication. I mean, I don't think I was dedicated to anything for 30 hours a week until I was older than 24.
I'm gonna say ever.
Okay, ever. But and that might be true. That may very well be true. And so I just wonder, like, how do you think that sort of rewires your brain to make those decisions when you're so young? And how does it feel to be 24 and have all of that under your belt?
I think there's pros and cons to it. I definitely feel like I missed out on a childhood. Like you said in my bio, I'm sacrificed a normal childhood for my goals and my dreams. Like I was saying, I do think there's pros and cons to everything. My cons were that I kind of sacrificed a lot of my childhood. Yeah. But I do not regret having discipline and, being poised, like you said. I do feel like I have a lot of training in a lot of areas that can kind of take me really far in life. I don't necessarily feel like there isn't anything that I can't do. I feel like I went through the worst of the worst that I will go through in my life already. And I just can kind of reflect on my gymnastics journey and remember like, oh, you've already been here before. Like you can get yourself out of this. You can, keep chugging and move forward. So I definitely think it has rewired me to continue to have like a positive mindset and to keep going, keep pushing. But I don't regret, but I do miss that I did not have like a regular childhood.
Yeah, I wonder too if it helps you learn how to learn things, because I think for me, I'm a perfectionist, and I'm so scared of trying something new because I don't really know how I'll learn it. But you're like you said, you're going to be going to modeling and dance and learning the saxophone. And so I wonder if there's this sort of like, how to learn a new thing. What that feels like. That like you have to be bad to be good. Does that feel true?
That does feel true. I actually have never thought about it like that. So thank you for that. That kind of switches my perspective and helps me be a little bit easier on myself. I know typically a lot of athletes are just really hard on themselves, really self-critical. And, that's still something that I struggle with to this day. So I will actually keep that in mind moving forward. Thank you.
And I'm going to like pretend I'm you and that like I'm learning, I know how to learn things. So like it's a little exchange program we have going on.
So Nia, so you grew up in gymnastics, and what's it like? You're 30 hours a week at the gym. So you go to, what's your typical day-to-day life like as a teenager?
Oh my goodness. It was literally eat, sleep, breathe gymnastics, wake up, go to practice at about 7:45, 8 o'clock in the morning, train for about 4 hours, then you get lunch, train for about another 4 hours, and then you go home, and then you do your homework, whether your homeschool homework on the computer, which is a little bit harder because, well, for me, it was a little bit harder because I definitely feed off of other people's energy, and I can learn better with other people and kind of learning from other people's mistakes as well. So I definitely struggled a little bit in school because I was doing it all on my own, and like reading comprehension is not my forte. And I knew that.
Right.
So it was tough. It was really tough, but definitely worth it.
Yeah.
How was that? And then you went to UCLA, is that correct?
Yes.
So what was that like? Did you have more of a typical college experience, or were you still doing the intense training?
No. So I actually, once I tore my Achilles, I made a very stern decision to go to high school. I wanted to go to high school before I went to college because I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep up in college. Just based off what I'm hearing. I'm like, I know college is fast paced. It's really on your own. People aren't going to be there to hold you accountable. Besides, like, you got a bad grade, like you need to fix that. Like, okay, so it's really all me on my own. And I wanted to be able to have a classroom experience before I got to college and learn how to learn in the classroom and learn how to socialize with people and interact and have these difficult conversations or easy conversations. I felt like really behind in all social areas. And that was my priority, was to kind of get better at that before I went to school, and because I wanted to have the most normal college experience as possible. But then, COVID did her thing.
Oh my gosh, right. I'm like putting it together. Yeah. Wow. That's awful. I was just saying to my sister last night, there are so many decisions in our lives that are presented like two forks in the road, right? Like have kids or don't have kids. And like, these are the only two options. But the reality is every day we make decisions that send us further down a road. And I, like when you say like, it was tough and I missed having that experience of a normal childhood, but like, you don't regret it. Like, you made decisions every day that either sent you down that road or took you away from that road. And by the time you get to like this high school experience, I think it's very impressive that you were able to be like, I need to do this. I need to do this, not just because of the academic reasons, but social, which is a big reason why we send kids to school, is social.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Thank you. That means
I think it's amazing.
So I want to go back for a second. So you were training your whole life, and then what happened with your Achilles? Because I think that was a huge pivotal moment in your life.
Totally. So as you guys know, I was doing 8 hours a day basically, and we only had one day off a week. So I was kind of peaking. I was a little bit of an underdog gymnast in the elite world, and I was starting to peak at the perfect time of the Olympics, and everything was feeling golden. I actually moved from Ohio to Chicago for better training, and I didn't want to do that. It was really hard for me because all I've known was Ohio. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to leave any of this behind. But again, for the bigger goal, for the big picture, I was making another sacrifice. And, it was all new, and it was even more intense at my new gym as well. So I did feel more like alone, if that makes sense. It was just a new city, a new gym, a homeschool already. And gymnastics is very individual. It's very just you out there by yourself, until you get to college and you're part of a team, which is amazing. But yeah, so I was really feeling alone, but I was peaking at the right time. So I wasn't worried about too much. I was just like, everything is kind of falling into place. And I actually got picked to go to Germany, represent USA to go to Germany. And it was like a big deal for me because it was only 2 people got selected, which was out of the entire country. I'm like, wow, this is huge. Like, I'm going to be representing USA. Like, this is my time, it's my moment. And I was actually in practice training, and I just my Achilles just snapped. But here's my theory. It was negative 30 degrees in Chicago that day. And I truly think that is why I tore my Achilles. Warming up is very important. Athletes, you always see us stretching and running, and even just, gym gurus, they take their stretching and recovery very seriously. And, I was feeling something off early in the day, but I didn't necessarily listen to my body. I didn't speak up enough for myself. And that is one thing that I do regret, because maybe that could have been prevented or held off a couple more months even. Right. And but after that happened, I was devastated. I really wanted to quit the sport completely. I didn't want to look at it, breathe it, eat it anymore. I was like, I don't want to be a part of this. But I had already committed to UCLA at this time. And I've always had a goal of being a part of a team in gymnastics, because like I said, it's all very individual. It's just solo. And you watch NCAA gymnastics, they're having the best time. It looks so supportive. Everybody's high-fiving each other, cheering each other on. I wanted to be a part of that camaraderie. So it took a lot to kind of dig myself out of that hole and realize a new, bigger picture, not the Olympics big picture anymore. And what's my new big picture? And that was really hard to was very depressed, because all I've known was I felt like all I've known just went down the drain. Everything I sacrificed, I was like, this is stupid,
What did you do for yourself, or what support did you have during that time?
It was just, my family was there. They were taking care of me and everything, but everybody around me was still kind of trying to persuade me to still try for the Olympics, which was in like a month or a month and a half after I got injured. And I was like, what I would have been making it for, like, I can't even use my foot to do these things. So I just, I was feeling more alone as well, because everybody was still trying to push me to keep making it, keep going for that goal. And I was just like, it's not realistic. And it's not necessarily something that I want to do anymore. And of course I always want to, but seeing my situation and the reality of what was going on, like, I had to, just make peace with that. And, it was just journaling, figuring out, like, what are my goals? What do I want to do now? Because if not gymnastics, then what? And I definitely wanted to learn from Miss Val. She was the head coach for UCLA gymnastics for a very long time, like about 20 plus years. And, she coaches the athlete as a human, not as an athlete. And she was teaching me that I was more than an athlete. And I'm just so glad that I was able to get myself out of that funk so that I could learn from her, because she opened my mind to other things, and just my mind helped me change my mindset a little bit.
So you were 17 years old, is that right? When this happened, and you're journaling about your future. And when I was 17, I was choosing classes based on the time of day. Like, I'm amazed. I'm so impressed. And it's so beautiful. And I also think, like, I'm sure, like, it was really sad, and I'm sure it felt really sad. Like you said, you sacrificed a lot, but this sort of like way that your mind was working at that young age, I think it's just fascinating, because of all these things that you've had to do. And I know, like Olivia said, when you watch gymnasts, and because it is so individual, like, you are the only one that's going to get you there. Literally. And that's so many lessons that so many of us don't learn till we're so much older. And I'm so fascinated to see, like, what you do in your life coming from that perspective of, like, a 17-year-old being like, well, what do I really want to do? And what do my decisions mean? I'm like 35 and I'm still thinking those thoughts, and you'll always be thinking those thoughts, but a lot of us don't start doing that till we're much older. Can you take us back to when you decided to go to high school? Like, How did that work out? Like, did you feel like you got what you needed from that situation?
I definitely do. I really feel like I wish I had more time. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, this was amazing. Like I went another year. I went 2 more
Yeah.
years, It was great. I felt like I was able to make friends. Putting myself out there is really hard. Like I'm really shy. I have some social anxiety. And so that was kind of my biggest thing. I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to make any friends? Am I going to be able to put myself out there enough to, relate to somebody and connect with somebody?
Yeah.
And I really was proud of myself for doing that, and also being able to learn in the classroom. I was getting good grades. Okay, we passed.
Yeah.
We got into UCLA. Okay,
Yeah,
so,
that's amazing. I wanted to say
yeah.
congratulations on that. It's
Thank
really
you.
impressive.
Thank you. So I definitely feel like it was what was necessary in moving forward.
Yeah.
It sounds like you are somebody. Do you have siblings?
I have a younger sister, but we're 10 years apart.
Okay. Let's say you sound like somebody that loves to be with other people.
Yeah,
You love that feeling, right? Like almost like
Yeah.
I could see you like in a band someday. Like you really love. So, it's funny how exactly how like the universe, had a way of kind of pushing you into UCLA.
Yeah.
Where, otherwise you could, obviously in the Olympics you have your team and all that whole thing too. But like, you sound like somebody that really, like you said, you thrive off other people, and like how excited you were to go to high school and to college and to be part of this team. And like, I think that's so cool that you know that about yourself. Like, like Jenny was saying, like, a lot of people don't know anything about themselves. Do you feel like as a gymnast, so as somebody that used your body to do all this stuff your whole life, that you felt a connection to your body or a disconnection from your body growing up and becoming a young woman?
As a teen, I felt pretty disconnected from my body, in terms of just natural woman things and puberty and things like that. I've always been really self-aware, just because our air awareness in gymnastics has to be really good. You have to know where you're at, or else you could get injured. So growing up though, I was definitely a little bit disconnected, just because of, kind of the strains and the traumas that come with the sport, and pressures and outside sources. Created some eating disorders, and it created body dysmorphia, which was a struggle to get through. And that was just difficult. And like, I feel like no kids should be going through that, and nobody should have to go through that, period. But definitely as a young child is like, it seems like it could be really detrimental, because those are kind of like your really important years. But luckily, like I said, I'm so blessed that I was able to go to UCLA and make that happen for myself, because I learned so much there.
What did you study at UCLA?
Yeah, I'm so curious. I want to like dig into the UCLA part now.
Ironically, I studied sociology.
I love sociology.
Amazing.
Yeah, I wanted to pick something that I felt like I could use every single day, even if it wasn't my job. And, study of people and just understanding people. And I feel like sometimes if I can understand where somebody else is coming from, or why they acted a certain way, then I can adjust and, have a better reaction and make it more of a positive thing than it. Try to avoid, any negative things, and just try to make it really positive and have good encounters and interactions like that. So that's why I studied sociology.
And then you worked with Miss Val, is that right? And
Yes.
you were on the team. And how did that, that was truncated a little bit by COVID, but how did that experience, like, was it what you thought it was going to be?
It was everything I expected it to be. Miss Val recruited me at a really young age, when I was like 13, 14. And, she told me I reminded her of Kobe Bryant. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? Like, your mindset, you're such a team player. And I'll never forget that. I'll always carry that with me for the rest of my life. And when I got to UCLA, she just took me under her wings and just molded me and helped shape me into a better young woman. And I really, because of her, I was able to do those floor routines that got a lot of attention my last 2 years. My first 2 years were like the struggle years, like
for everybody.
For everybody 100%. The transition years, just trying to figure everything out, making all those mistakes and learning from them. And, Miss Val, she was just my rock. She never judged me for anything that I did. And the choices that I made, she just supported me. She's like, you're going to have consequences for this. You're going to learn from this, and you're going to just move forward. Like, oh yeah, I guess it is that simple, right? She made me realize like how simple things could be. We tend to overcomplicate a lot of things by overthinking or negative self-talk, self-doubt, whatever it is, you know, that can make things more complicated. So
is there anything that Miss Val, like, did she have any like advice that you always carry with you?
Yeah, there's like so many quotes that go through my head daily. Honestly, like I hear her voice in the back of my head. Like if I'm doing something wrong, I just hear her yelling at me like, "Oh, let me get it together. Let me get it together." But one thing that really stuck with me is that she said life is a choice, or I'm sorry, happiness is a choice, and to choose happy. And you know, a lot of us gymnasts, we struggled with mental health, and that was just kind of like something that she had to kind of get used to. Miss Val had to get used to dealing with. And how can she change our mindset? And that was something that really helped me, like just like literally it's as simple as making a choice, making a decision to choose happy. Like, why do I have to choose sadness? Why do I have to choose stress? And you know, it's not always that simple 100%.
Right.
But you know, having that foundation in my head, it's like, okay, you know, I can kind of step in the right direction.
Yeah, I love that.
Totally.
So then you got to go to something, just a little thing called the Met Gala. Can you explain to us that story and how you ended up there?
Yes, it's my favorite story. Honestly, it was a regular day, like a regular Tuesday morning. And my manager was like, we need to get on Zoom. I have a really important person who wants to talk to you. I'm like, who, me? Like, who is it? What's going on? And it's Stella McCartney, like
casual,
on
super
Zoom.
casual.
So literally like on my computer screen. And she's like, Nia, you're incredible. And I'm like, wait, how do you know me? Like, how do you know me? She's like, so listen, I can't be at the Met Gala this year. It's because it's my birthday and I need some people to represent me. Do you want to? I was like, do I want to?
Yes.
Need me to do like anything. I was like, of course, I'm all here for you, girl, like no matter what. And she was just telling me that she saw my floor routine and she was completely inspired and she wanted, and the theme of the Met Gala that year was like Americana. So it was really fitting. And she was like, I feel like you just fit the theme and I love what you did. You were revolutionary. So let's go make history because nobody's ever performed at the Met Gala before. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, let's do it on the stairs. I was like, okay, like so outrageous. And I was like, I love it. I'm down for it. And it was an incredible experience.
Well, yeah. So what was that like being on the iconic red carpet?
Girl, I was so nervous. I was shaking in my boots. I was like, oh my goodness. I know I performed a billion times, but this is a little bit different. It's cameras at every single angle. And it's like I'm performing for all my idols, essentially. Like I love everybody in this room right now. Don't mess up. I'm like, don't mess up. Don't, you know, this is your moment. You gotta. There were so many things going in my head, but once the music came on and the band came out and my cue was coming up, it was kind of like a flip switched in my mind, and I was like, it's showtime. Like, let's do it. Let's own it. We're here. Like, this is something like nobody can ever take away from you. So just live in the moment.
Yes,
and
I love that.
Yeah, that's what I did. It was just incredible. And, you know, after my performance, Megan Thee Stallion was hyping me up. She's like, girl, you did that. Like yelling at me from across the room, like, you're amazing. I was like, you know me too.
Okay. Well, first
that's an amazing moment.
Talk about what you wore, because that was like iconic.
Super iconic. And it was like, you know, she made that for me. She made me a bodysuit, a mesh bodysuit, so that I can perform in, because she's like, I want you to do all the crazy stunts that you do your splits, do everything. But, you know, we have to keep you covered up and everything. Like, she's really looking out for me, but making it functional enough so that I could perform on the stairs. And then she gave me a diamond encrusted, it was just all jewels and diamonds, knit dress to go on top of the bodysuit. So it was like see-through. But, you know, then you get the bodysuit, the mesh blue bodysuit underneath. It was gorgeous, stunning. Blue is one of my favorite colors as well. And I just was living. I was like, this is like, I feel like Cinderella, literally.
I mean, you know, it's funny when I think about like the things I've been through, and then you go a few years down the line, right? And you look back and you're like, was that the same girl? Like, for me, I'm thinking about you recovering from your Achilles, you know, surgery, whatever. And if you could tell that girl, just wait a few years, right? You're going to be performing at the Met Gala. I promise we'll be okay, right? Absolutely. It's like the things that you got to do because of the way that your journey went, right? And you didn't think it was going to go that way. So what is coming up for you? Because I feel like there's big things on the horizon.
Oh my goodness. Sorry. I don't even know how to answer this question because
there's
I don't even know
what's going on with the modeling and
the dancing,
the
saxophone, the jazz band. I'm so excited to come see it.
So are you modeling? Like you're currently trying to model or you're
yes,
modeling?
I'm currently trying to model. So I modeled for Beyonce's clothing line, Ivy Park, which was another dream come true. Literally the best day of my life. And honestly, that's kind of where I felt a new spark, a new passion for modeling. And I was like, wow, I kind of think I want to act on this a little bit as well. So it's still in my transition phase. I'm still learning. I'm still trying new things, figuring out what it is that I really love. Like I love gymnastics.
Yeah.
I'm looking for things that kind of give me that feeling. And modeling definitely took me there. Dancing always takes me there. So I'm just training right now in dance. I'm just trying to get my technique up so that I can have a little bit more confidence in myself. You know, as a gymnast, I've trained how many hours under my belt, like I have confidence in my reps. And because I haven't had that same training in dance, I'm just trying to really build my training and get my technique up in that area. But if you need me to dance, I'm gonna always dance for you. Anytime, any commercial, you know what, I'm gonna turn it up. You know, I need to.
I love that. So Nia, if somebody's going through a big thing in their life and a fresh start, what would be some wise words that you could impart to them?
Some wise words that I would say are to have some compassion for yourself. Life is hard. People aren't always going to have compassion for you either, thinking that you're making excuses, but they don't really know what's going on internally or what you're really going through. So only you do. And you got to have that compassion for yourself to be able to make space for change and to be able to move forward and progress. So I would say learn to be kind to yourself. It's not easy and it takes time. So have compassion with the journey, the baby steps that you are making and taking to get to where you want to.
Oh, I love that. I know. I want to get that.
I love
tattooed.
that. That was perfect. But I love have compassion for yourself. Like it's so true. Be kind to yourself and make sure that voice inside is being nice to you.
I love that. I love that. And now the hardest question that we always ask
was
the last thing that you ate and loved, or what was something recently that you ate and loved?
Goodness. Okay. Well, the last thing that I ate and loved was some lasagna. And it was amazing. And typically I'm not going to say I'm a picky eater, but typically I really only like my mom's lasagna. You know how it is.
Classic. Yeah.
But this time, this lasagna was incredible. I was like, okay, maybe I need to start trying lasagna other places.
Where did you have this lasagna?
Barton G's. Have you heard of it?
No.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You guys are on the East Coast. Okay.
Yeah,
we're East Coast girls.
We'll have to look.
It's LA. It's an LA place though?
Yeah, it's in LA.
We'll have to look it up. I love it. Yeah. Well, Nia, you are so inspirational. You truly are. And not just because of, yes, as a gymnast.
The mindset stuff.
The mindset and you are truly wise beyond your years. Like you have a very old soul and it's beautiful. And you know what I love about everything you said is that you've been through so much and yet you are so aware of helping other people find their passion and happiness. And I could see you doing things like coaching and teaching and really like helping people because you just are so passionate about bringing joy to people's lives. And that comes through so clearly. So thank you for sharing everything with us.
Thank you so much. Those words mean everything to me because I would love to have a positive impact on people's lives because you never know what anybody's going through. So if you do smile,
and you will, you do, and you will. And like 100%. And I also think it's really beautiful that at 24, you're getting to act like a 24-year-old a little bit and, try some stuff out and do some new things and learn because, I think that the world is going to open up for you and there's going to be so many opportunities.
Yeah, but next time you go to the Met Gala, you don't have to perform. You can just go to the Met Gala.
You just go
enjoy yourself.
Model, dancer.
Thank you, Nia.
I earned it, finally.
Thank you for listening to today's story. We're always here and we're proud of you. Until next time, brave one.
A Fresh Story is brought to you by Fresh Starts Registry, the first and only platform for everything you need to start again. You can read the show notes and learn more about today's episode at freshstartsregistry.com/podcast.
As always, we want to remind our listeners that while we strive to provide accurate and helpful information, we are not medical doctors or mental health professionals. We want to remind you all that the information shared in this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. We highly recommend consulting a qualified healthcare or mental health professional for any concerns or questions you may have. Remember, we are a podcast, but we are not licensed medical professionals. Always consult with your healthcare provider for any medical decisions. And as a gentle reminder, all opinions are our guests and do not necessarily reflect our own.